Can you say this sentence in French? I just left. Now you have 3 seconds. So can you say in French just I just left? So the time is over, and if you froze, or if you started with je, juste maybe, but anyway there is no juste in French in I just left. But we'll see it. But anyway, that's not a failure. That's the translation trap. And it's not your fault, it's what you were trained to do. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly why it happens. Why every method you have tried has reinforced it. But I'm going to show you also the specific kind of practice that breaks it. Because that sentence, I just left, uses just simple A2 level vocabulary. But your brain couldn't assemble it fast enough. Because it was translating every word, one by one through English first. So by the end of this video, not only you will understand why, but you will actually build this sentence by yourself, in French, right away. So now let me show you why this happens, so you know how to recognize it and how to avoid it. And then I'll walk you through building that exact kind of sentence in a completely different way. So here is something most people never consider. When you learned English as a child, you didn't learn it through another language. You didn't translate from some other language in your head. You built direct connections between concepts and words. But when you started learning French as an adult, something very different happened. Almost every method, every app, every textbook, every class taught you French through English. They gave you an English word and asked you to memorize the French equivalent. And what did that build? It built a very efficient translation machine. Think about it. When was the last time a French course asked you to actually build a sentence from scratch? Under pressure, like in a real conversation? Probably never. And that's why you don't have a learning problem. You have a method problem. Apps, textbooks, classes all trained you to read and analyze French. Podcasts and immersion train your ears, even shadowing, just as you repeating someone else's sentences. None of them ever asked you to build an original sentence by thinking from scratch, the way you would need to in a real conversation. And that's what we're going to do right now. I'm going to show you how to build that exact sentence I just left, and a few others. Not by memorizing, but by thinking in French structure, in French ideas. Then if you're interested, I also have a longer free masterclass that goes much deeper into this approach. But first, let's see how it works. And here is the rule. You have to say the sentences out loud. That's very important. Don't just watch, it's passive. If you want to learn to speak here, I need you to actually say the sentences out loud. So let's start simple with I come in French. Let's say I come. So the come of I come in French is viens. So actually you can say it just viens, with a silent S at the end, because usually in French, when the last letter is a consonant, this consonant is silent. So viens. And now let's say just I come. How do you say just I come? Je viens. And that's it. So that's very simple, but it's very important that you make the sentences out loud. Even if right now it's very simple, if you want to get to more complex sentences, it's very important that right now you stay focused on the sentence that you have to make. So here, I come, je viens. Now let's say quickly, you come. with the informal you. And there is no trap. It's the same come in French. So how do you say with the informal you? You informal come. Tu viens. And that's it. So with the same vient, because anyway with the singular pronouns in French to say come in present tense, it's always the same sound, viens. So here for you informal come, you say tu viens. Now let's say you come from Paris. So to say you come from Paris, you need to say from. How do you say from in French? From is de. Just de. And de is a very common word in French. It can mean lots of different things. De can represent many ideas. Here it's from, so to say from in French you say de. So let's say you come from Paris. So again, there is no trap. It's the same word order in English and in French. So how do you say in French? You informal come from Paris. Tu viens de Paris. And that's it. And you don't pronounce the S of Paris either, because the S is the last letter and it's a consonant, so you don't pronounce it, just Paris. Tu viens de Paris. And now can you say, I come from Paris? Just that, same logic, how do you say, I come from Paris? Je viens de Paris. And that's it. So that's the same principle. Je viens de Paris. So now let's go a bit further and let's say the word for to leave. To leave in French is partir. So partir relates to a departure. That's the memory hack. The departure is the place from where you leave. So to leave is partir. And then let's say, I just left. So here, if you want to say, I just left, you need to know that in French, that just left doesn't really exist. If you want to say this idea of I just left, so something that you did very recently, maybe 2 minutes ago or 5 minutes ago, to say this idea in French, you need to say come from. So you don't say just, you say I come from, and then to leave, the verb in the infinitive. I come from in the present tense, and then to leave in the infinitive. So in French, actually, you don't hear the past. In English, you conjugate left in the past. But in French, you just have I come from and then the verb in the infinitive. So how do you think you should say in French, I just left? And don't rush. Take the time to think. Focus on what you want to say and just say in French, I just left. Je viens de partir. And that's it. So instead of saying just, in French, you say come from. I come from. Je viens de. And then you place the verb that you want in the infinitive. So actually that's easier because you don't need to conjugate the verb. It's just the infinitive. So here, partir. Je viens de partir. And now can you say you just left with the informal you. So you informal just left. So again, don't rush and just follow the same logic. There is no trap, just you come from and then the verb in the infinitive. So how do you say in French? You informal just left. Tu viens de partir. And that's it. Same principle. To say this idea of something that just happened a few minutes ago, in French you say come from for just. So I come from, you come from, and then to leave. So tu viens de partir. And now let's say she just left. And again, there is no trap. You know everything you need to say this sentence. That's the same logic. Don't rush. Focus on the idea that you mean and just say in French, she just left. Elle vient de partir. So literally, she comes from and then to leave. The come with singular pronouns always sound vient. So elle vient de partir. And you just said it. 3 minutes ago, this kind of sentences made you freeze. And now you just built it from scratch. Without translating, without memorizing. And that's what thinking in French feels like. Now let's say the verb for to go out in French. To go out is sortir. So in English it relates to a sortie. So to go out, sortir. That's the infinitive. So now can you say she just went out? So again, you know everything you need to say this sentence. It's the same principle, same logic. So don't rush, really focus on what you have to say and say in French, she just went out. Elle vient de sortir. And that's it. So you don't say just in French. This idea in French is come from. So elle vient de. And then the verb in the infinitive. So here, to go out. Went out becomes to go out in French. Sortir. So elle vient de sortir. Now can you say, I just went out? So with the same principle, but with I. How do you say, I just went out? Je viens de sortir. And that's it. So same principle, I just went out, I come from to go out. So, je viens de sortir. And you just built natural sounding French sentences. You didn't memorize a phrase. You didn't repeat after me. You didn't translate word by word from English. You thought in French structure and build sentences by yourself. And that's the difference between learning about French and learning to speak French. So if you feel that it's the kind of method that you need now to improve your French speaking, I have a free 4-hour masterclass that gives you the fundamental building blocks of spoken French that you need to speak French with confidence. So the way we just did, but much deeper. And I also added speed training sessions to reinforce your reflexes in spoken French. So it's not another grammar course or app. It's really a masterclass designed only to make you speak French, not just to know French intellectually. The link is below if you feel the gap between translating and just thinking. That means you need this kind of practice. And you can start today.